There are locations where APC is government at the state level. You will find out that there's a lot of bullying of PDP people. Take in this instance the case of Ogun State. Just yesterday it was reported on your air. The rule normally would be you lay out your campaign plans and your itinerary, and you try as much as possible giving it to the police, avoiding each other. You know, where if somebody is going to line A, they try to encourage the other man to do line B, and so that you can all run around the state without really clashing. But people have tendencies that are difficult to purge. If they feel nervous about the potentials of losing an election, especially the APC, it is in their habit to detour from their own space where they're supposed to go and run into the situation where the PDP is and do brigandage. And you know, the funny thing is that it appears as if because they've not been in power that long, they have not really learned the lessons that in the final analysis, you do not help your political party if you begin to show the populace that you are violent. And what you have in Ogun State, for example, is that whereas the PDP has moved completely away from violence, what you find there is that the APC has had a field day destroying posters, destroying billboards, attacking convoys. Just yesterday, at the rally of the senatorial candidate of Ogun Central, Dr. and Mrs. Bisola Sodipo-Clark, we were there doing our rally peacefully. They detoured from their rally with thugs and all of that, moved into our rally space and started attacking. And we backed away from them. Why did we back away? We backed away because we recognized that.
We'll be back to continue this in just a moment. Don't worry, you'll have your say in a moment. Please join us again. Welcome back. It's time for us to have a look at the headlines now with Anne Maudo.
Hello, Chamberlain. A quick look at the headlines now. The President, Dr. Goodluck Jonathan, has given a strong assurance that Boko Haram will be defeated in the northeastern states of Yobe and Adamawa in the next couple of days. President Jonathan told the Voice of America, VOA, in an interview that the military is doing its best to clear the insurgents from the occupied areas. Meanwhile, the President has once again promised that the implementation of the National Conference report will be priority if re-elected as President. He was speaking at the palace of the Awujale of Ijebu land, Obasikiru Adetono, where he visited to seek royal blessings ahead from the general election. The President said he is seeking re-election to accomplish the project which he initiated in different sectors. The All Progressives Congress today held a rally in Port Harcourt, River State capital, and in an interactive session in Lagos State also. The party's presidential candidate, General Muhammadu Buhari, insists that his party remains the best choice for Nigerians in the coming elections. And finally, a protest taking place in the U.S. town of Ferguson, Missouri went awry when 2 police officers were shot in the face and on the shoulder. Protesters had gathered following the resignation of the town's police chief after a report alleging racial bias in his department emerged. Several witnesses said the shots had come from a hill on the other side of the street from the crowd of protesters. The country police chief said after hearing the gunshots, many officers had drawn their weapons, but no one had fired. Well, those are the headlines, and it's still Nigeria 2015. Back to you, Chamberlain.
Well, thank you, Anne. And let's pick up from where we stopped. We're talking about why do we have this violence? And that's with a view to talking about solutions. Because I have a feeling that, yes, both of you may just keep going at each other, but we're talking about why, first and foremost, do we have this violence?
Well, why you have violence? Just like you said, I want to agree with him to an extent, a little bit, that, well, it depends on the emotions of the leaders and possibly those that are running for office and leaders of political parties. But at the same time, it majorly depends on those that want to be seat-tight leaders, those presently occupying office and they want to be seat-tight leaders. The example which he just drew regarding Ogun State, well, I do not want to argue with him about what happened in Ogun State, but at the same time, if there's no how we can talk of political violence that we do not actually bring it down to some specifics. In the case of River State, which I talked about earlier on, we should not forget that permissions to assault and permissions were actually given by the police before they went for rally, and the police were also there before what happened actually happened. So if the proper thing was actually done, definitely there wouldn't have been anything like that. The case of Ogun State. Now, what I'm saying that if the police had actually done what they should have done, if the APC actually took permission and they were given permit before they were given the go-ahead before they held the rally, which the PDP actually went to cause violence.
Do both parties, their supporters now, do they have to clash in order to justify or underscore the point, whatever point they have about whether or not permission were sought? Elections are conducted in other parts of Africa.
Exactly.
But ours is so boisterous. I mean, what would you say to those who think that it is partly because of the kinds of messages that public office holders give their supporters, hear them, the way they talk at campaigns, and so that tension, that seed is sown in them?
Chabale, how do we explain this? When the first lady of Federal Republic of Nigeria will address the crowd and say that whoever that comes for change, whoever that comes to preach the gospel of change to you, stone them to death. What do you say? What do you say of that? Whoever, any supporter that actually hears such kind of message, what do you expect of such a supporter to do in that situation, or even when he leaves the place? So he carries that, he or she carries that on the head, and then he behaves with that. That's the kind of thing I'm saying. We know
that is good response. Many have spoken about this. What's your response to that particular?
See, the problem is hypocrisy. Between 1999 to date, the entire media space is awash with many of the utterances of the presidential candidates of the APC. Either say to fire and brainstorm, the country will come to an end, this and that, and all sorts of things that are quite unpalatable to say. And if you watch, all through the crisscrossing of the country by the presidents, the only times you ever hear that even the presidential convoy is being stoned when you go to territories that are supposedly APC controlled states. So I believe that no one should be